This morning on BRN, moving and living abroad. Joining me now to discuss this, Brett Andrews of Expatsi. Brett, so great to see you. Thanks for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you very much for having me, Jeff.
This is a fascinating story, and it's one that a lot of people are certainly considering. You and your significant other decided to leave the United States and become an expat. What was that journey like for you?
So we started talking about moving abroad and around the spring of 2016. We had both met about a year before, and we're just looking for something different in our lives. We were looking for adventure and figuring out what that next step was. And then 6 years later, we finally got a chance to go on our first, we call a scouting trip, which is where we move. We went to another country for about a week and a half to kind of live like residents there. We went to the grocery stores, we checked out the different, medical options. We saw a movie, which is one of my favorite things. We tried a few restaurants, which is my partner's favorite things, just to kind of see what does life feel like abroad. And after about 3 days, we decided, yeah, yeah, this place, Merida in the state of Yucatan, Mexico, Merida is a good enough place for us. So it took us 2 years after that to get here, but we have been here since April 2024, and we have loved every minute of moving abroad.
And you mentioned some of the, your scouting trip. Um, were there some challenges along the way? For example, did you both speak Spanish? I would assume that the area that you're living in primarily speaks Spanish. I could be wrong. There are multi polyglots everywhere these days. But what are some of the challenges you encountered in transitioning to a new country?
Well, not knowing the language was one that a lot of people ask us about. I want to move to Spain, but I don't speak Spanish. I want to move to France, but I don't speak French. Is that okay? The answer is yes. Thankfully, we have tools today, such as Google Translate, so where you can communicate with someone in a foreign language almost in real time through your phone, which really helps. Also, a sense of humility and please excuse me, I'm learning your language. Showing that attempt to speak another person's language tends to go a long way in winning them over. And as far as communicating that we are all basically the same deep down. Uh,
And
of course, navigating some of the social issues of living abroad. Mexico is much more a communal uh, country than the U.S. might be. We tend to be more individuals in the U.S., whereas Mexico is very much we look out for our neighbor. And so, getting to know that experience and how it influences things like even just shopping at a local produce store was certainly a welcome challenge in living abroad.
yeah, my apologies for interrupting you. Sometimes it's so difficult to determine when someone has finished their thoughts, but my apologies. What about family and friends, leaving behind family and friends? You mentioned the communal nature of where you live now. How about saying goodbye to family and friends? Even if it's temporary, they can always fly to visit you. You can fly back. What was that? How was that?
Yeah, so that was certainly a challenge that I had to wrestle with for a while. My partner Jen, she doesn't have any really remaining family, whereas all of my family lives around the town we came from. And so I had to come to terms with not being able to see my family at a moment's notice. Now, I will say that one of my stipulations whenever we moved abroad, one of the things I looked for whenever scouting out where to live is that I want to be able to be back in my hometown within 24 hours on any given day because I have a grandmother who's in her early 80s. I've got a brother, sisters. My parents are both still around central Alabama, and so I want to be able to get to them in short notice if I needed to. And of course, we're going back on Christmas and Easter every year as well. So we are still getting to see family, just maybe slightly less frequently than we would have if we still lived in the U.S.
And plus, you have one of these, right? I mean, it's not like like the iPhone doesn't work or the Android phone doesn't work where you live. You have the ability to connect with people. You
Yeah,
have the ability to
absolutely.
connect with people.
Yeah, I mean, we communicate in so many different ways. I've had phone conversations with my sister. I can have a video chat with my father. The same thing with my mother, and of course, they're always welcome to come and visit us here. I tell them all you need is just a passport and a plane ticket, and we'll take care of the rest. And so I'm still in contact with all my family in much the same way I would be otherwise. We just maybe we don't go out to dinner as often as we did before we moved, but that's about the extent of it.
And last question before I want to talk about your company in a second, but did you have to get citizenship in the country you live in now, or a visa? How does that work? Because and did you renounce your U.S. citizenship, or do you have dual citizenship?
Sure. So that's a common misconception that if I'm moving abroad, I have to get citizenship in my other country or have to renounce my US citizenship to move abroad. And that is factually just not true. So what we did is we moved to Mexico to get a short-term residency visa. So what we will do is over the next 5 years, we'll be able to renew that residency visa every year or to 2 years, I believe. After 5 years, we have the option to apply for a permanent residency visa, which we do not have to renew, or we can apply for Mexican citizenship. I think that in our current situation, I think permanent residency is more the way to go. But people we've talked to all the time make different choices. But generally, we recommend that people maintain their US citizenship. There's a lot of benefits to have maintain your home citizenship and just keeping that same continuity that you've had throughout your life.
Yeah, well said, and thanks for the clarification. Let's talk a little bit about the company you built. So obviously, you're not the only ones who are interested in doing this. Talk about the company and the outreach and the outpouring that you've gotten as a result of you taking these steps for yourselves.
Sure. So Expatsi, we launched in spring of 2022, shortly after that first scouting trip to Mexico. And the whole idea of the company is built around the same things we were looking for. We want to live abroad. Where do we go? And so we developed this test that helps people navigate where they should go based on things like demographics of people there, languages spoken, time zones, what kind of climate is there, all the way up to and including things like which country ranks highly for women, which country uh, allows for things like gun ownership. And so that has helped over 100,000 people so far take the
Wow.
expatriate test, find out where they might want to move to. We give them their top 10 countries based on what they find. And over the last 2.5 years, Expats has evolved beyond simply a test to we've started offering things like webinars about how to move to certain countries within 6 months. We are offering scouting trips to help other people do like we did 2.5 years ago. Let's go to visit a country. Let's go and tour neighborhoods. Let's pretend like we live there for a period of time and see if this other place fits us well as expatriates.
And of course, you read more and more people who are in at retirement age. They retire and they say, "Hey, I want to explore Spain, or I want to live in Europe for a period of time, or I want to live in Mexico." So this is kind of added to the retirement plan for those individuals.
Absolutely. A lot of the people we talk to are seniors or are approaching retirement age. And they always ask us, I want to move abroad. I want to maintain my quality of life. Can I move abroad and maintain my social security payments? Can I move abroad and get health insurance? Can I move abroad and afford it based on the pension I already have? And the answer is yes. There's about, I'd say, at least 4 dozen different countries that American seniors could move to and live fairly comfortably, about 20 to 30 of which you can live in fairly well for under, say, $2,000 a month. So there's
Wow.
definitely options where people can take their Social Security that they've worked their entire lives for and take that money to another country, and they can live comfortably, integrate into a new culture, and just embark on that new adventure in this new phase of life. So there's definitely opportunities there for people in retirement.
Yeah, very well said. And look, I think it's a brave new world, and you and your partner are certainly leading the way. Brett, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to having you back on the program again very soon.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
And don't forget to subscribe to our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse, and get all the news in one place. Details at our website. Until tomorrow, I'm Jeffrey Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes.